Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for popping on and joining us for another little version of my Makeover Monday. As you guys know, I love to chat with some of my good friends and some of my colleagues and just the other powerhouses in my circle and just be able to share their stories to hopefully inspire all of you. I feel like so many people get stuck in monotony or routine and are kind of, looking for a change or looking for inspiration. And one of my personal missions in alignment with my book, Get Off the Curb, is to just be able to create healthy change, that ignition, whatever it takes to create the radical change that you're looking for in your life, financially, physically, emotionally, socially, professionally. And I have been so fortunate to align myself with amazing people. And now I love to be able to share their stories to help you hopefully find your voice in the path that you're looking for. So tonight we have my dear friend, Brandy Bishop, on the live, and we met at a women's networking event, go figure, a while back, stayed in touch over social media. And she's also a fellow network marketer, and we're in different companies. But I love that I've been able to see her success, her consistency, the way that she leads, the way that she inspires others. And along with being a business owner and entrepreneur, there's so many things that we learn that we are able to pay it forward. She's also in property management. She's got this amazing pup. She's in a relationship. She's super fun. I'll let her tell you all of that. But it's just nice to always hear real stories from real people. So thanks for being here tonight, Brandy.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so I always just like to dive into it, that people can get to know you. Because even though I know you're super fun and fabulous, and I can't wait to go be able to drink wine on a patio again, right? Tell everybody just a little bit about what were you doing before you joined network marketing? Why did you decide to join network marketing opposed to other things? How did you know that this was something you wanted to do? And just let them kind of hear a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so like you were saying, my background is property management. I've actually done that for 12 years, and I do actually very much enjoy it. I have a good career in property management. I love the company I work for. I love the people that I work with, but I really ultimately just wanted more in my life. I just wanted a little bit more time freedom. I wanted a little bit more money, and I wanted something for me too. Like I saw how well I did building things for other people, but I wanted something that was my own. And that, it just had that piece in my heart, right? And so when I was introduced to Touchstone, I just fell in love with it and thought, what the heck? Let me just jump in and see what happens. And the rest is history. So
that's so awesome. You know what? And I love that actually you brought up that you're still in property management and so successful with it, because I think often people feel like it's one or the other. And until you actually experience it, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, this can align right alongside whatever else you're doing. It doesn't have to interfere, and it can pair, and it can provide so much. But I think people usually feel there is an ultimatum that they have to give something up. So I love that you brought up that you're doing both. When I think about network marketing, which is so fun to be able to talk to another network marketer tonight, because not everybody who's on here is in network marketing. I feel like there's so many myths around the profession, and I definitely came with my share. What is something that maybe you thought the profession had, and now being in it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ever thought it was like that?
The pyramid scheme whole thing, oh, those people, they're in a scheme, and they're gonna force you to sign up and throw you in the back of their trunk.
In the back of your trunk.
I know, kidnap you and take you to their cult, I always thought it was one of those things. And so now I realize it's really just a super cool business model, and it's so smart. And especially now, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing with COVID. I think so many people have relied on corporate jobs for so long, and they're seeing that the rug can literally be pulled right out from under you. That used to be the smart way, the secure way. And I think now people are seeing that's not always secure. When you have something that's your own, somebody can't pull the rug out from under you. And I think now it's becoming more and more clear, not just to myself, but to other people, that it's really a viable option, especially in the day and age that we're in now.
Oh my gosh, I completely agree. And I always want to be, compliant and make sure that, we're not claiming anything. But I think there has been a wake-up call, and a lot of people, do want to have multiple streams of revenue. And I came from a background where I was constantly exchanging time for money, that if I didn't show up as a personal trainer, if I didn't show up as a bartender, as a group fitness instructor, whatever else I was doing, I was never going to be able to make money. I was horrified to go on vacation. So I'm like, I can't not work for a week. And I think a lot of people find themselves in situations like that, or are barely making ends meet. that they can see what supplemental income does, or multiple streams of revenue. And even today, I'm such a big believer of like not putting all of your like eggs in one basket. You just kind of never know. So whenever I get to talk to other entrepreneurs, it's so fun just to kind of learn your journey and be able to share with other people kind of what that looks like. But what's like a wall kicking moment, like something that came up in your path, maybe even with property management or, you know, with your network marketing, something that it was like, like, how am I ever going to get through this? And how did you persevere? How did you overcome it? What have you learned since that all occurred?
Yeah, so I think something that I really had to like get past was my background. Like, I grew up in a home with domestic violence, and it was something where I always felt like I had to hide who I was as a person. And so I always felt like I couldn't be who I really was. I had to like put on a front to show people like who I wanted to be, not who I really was. And so that was really something that I had to get through to get to where I'm at now. Like, just accepting it's okay to like be me, and it's okay, like I don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Like, it's all right to have, you know, a crazy background, like, but that I don't have to live there. Like, I can totally be the person I want to be. I don't have to be the circumstances that I was around, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, absolutely makes sense. Now you're speaking to my heart, because that's so much of my story. And I love that. And I think, you know, so often we do fall kind of victim into those circumstances, like you said, or those events, and we lose sight of the person that we can be and tell ourselves all those stories, and to recognize and say, okay, this happened, but this is not who I am, is so huge. And to be able to let go of that shame and just step into the person you want to be. And I really applaud you for sharing that. I didn't know that. And I tell them all the time, one of the fun things for me doing this is I always learn things about my friends that I didn't even know. Because I think a lot of people relate to that. And, you know, when we've had, whether it be domestic violence, or there's some type of abuse, or there's drug addiction, or a teacher or someone who said something about you that it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, sometimes it's so hard to be able to let go of that. And that's so relatable, you know, to so many people, I'm sure, that heard that and say, oh my gosh, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. So I really am grateful that you shared that. I'm a big fan of reading. I think that, like, you know, if you want to grow as a person, you really have to grow your mind. Is there a book, or maybe a couple books, that have been really inspirational, influential to you, that have led to your success?
You know, there's one that, like, anytime I'm in a funk, I go back and read it, and it's You're a Badass at Making Money. Like, I loved the original You're a Badass, but something about the You're a Badass at Making Money, like, I just love that book. And pretty much any book that has to do with mindset has been huge for me. I really liked like Jack Canfield's Success Principles. That one was a really good one for me. The Slight Edge was huge. I loved that one a lot. I think those are three that like I can read over and over again, and I feel like each time I'm like, oh, I forgot that nugget. That's so good.
So good. I love it. And this is like honestly one of my favorite questions to ask entrepreneurs, because they're always so different. And there's some, like, I feel like common denominator of authors, like someone always mentions Jack Canfield or Tony Robbins or John Maxwell or Richard Kiyosaki or Robert Kiyosaki or something of that sort. But it's so fun to figure like which one and how that happens. And just because you mentioned some of the oldies, but the goodies, if you've never read the 4 Agreements, that's one of my like go-to, and I for sure want my team to abide by that. What about podcasts? What do you listen to, or who is someone that like really inspires you and fires you up?
You know what? Podcasts I don't do as much of. I just do a ton of Audible because I'm in my car a lot. So I'm like constantly listening to a book while I'm driving around. So yeah, I need to get into the podcast world. So I'll have to get some tips from you.
You know, but that's so fun. And I think sometimes they always think like, oh, everybody does it the same way. Where like I'm the opposite, because if I'm driving, like I don't know when it's gonna like cut off. I can't really like time it. Yeah. So like if I know I have a 30-minute ride, like I pick a podcast that long, or 15 minutes, like somebody's put on YouTube. Or like I don't want to get in the middle of the book and not be able to finish it. Or I'm like a reader. I like first thing in the morning I read my 10 pages and I can just control, you know, like what I'm gonna do every day. So this is a question I actually wasn't thinking about asking, but it just like kind of organically showed up. What are your non-negotiables, like income producing activities that you do that you know have led to your success? And also, what are some of the daily things you do to keep your mind sharp and just to stay so positive and joyful?
Yeah, so first thing in the morning, every morning, I get up and I have my tea. And while I'm having my tea, I do journaling. And sometimes I do different things with my journaling. I might write out like 5 things I'm grateful for, or I might write out like the way I want my day to look in the viewpoint of the woman I want to be.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, the woman that I want to be, like, this is how she would do her day. So, or I might write, sometimes if I'm having some like head trash, I'll just write out things like, here's a challenge that I'm having right now. Like, is this true? Is this true? And is it worth holding me back from my goals? And then what do I want to believe instead? And then I'll write that. So I do that. And then I try and schedule some time each day for my business. So one day it might be like tonight I had a jewelry party. So that was my activity for today. Tomorrow is doing my follow-ups. So I have an hour blocked out with my list of people I need to check in with. And the next day might be like me reaching out, doing my asks. So I try and chunk it down like a different task each day. So those are my non-negotiables.
I love it. I love that you do your journaling. And I'm actually, the way you said it, even though I've heard it, I'm never that positive and like who the person you want to be. Like I've seen people write letters to everything they want to accomplish in like the next year or something like that. But the way you're doing that daily is so awesome. And I think it's super, super important for people to like really see that vision and bring that to fruition. So I love that. I want to pick your brain a little bit more at some point on what you're doing and kind of hear about that. So who are 3 people that have inspired you or been influential to you and why?
Krista Resnick, who is my business coach, who actually gave me a lot of the tips that I just told you about. So she's been super.
She's a little proud mama right now.
What's that?
She's a proud mama right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's amazing. Krista, my grandmother, she is like the most amazing. She's like, she gets me. And then my mom's always my cheerleader. She's always there cheering me on. So
that's so awesome. I love that. I love that you have this like professional side and like a little bit of like family side. And who's maybe a celebrity or who is a very influential person that's inspired you, that you just think like, man, like if I could be 10% of them or have a little bit, I would feel like I have really impacted a lot of other people.
That's a good question, because I don't know that I fangirl out quite a bit. Like, you know, let's see here. Who would I say has inspired me? I mean, a lot of the authors that I mentioned, I mean, their books have really been instrumental for me on that front. You know, you always hear those questions, like, if you were stuck in an airplane, who would you pick? Yeah. And it's totally somebody. Okay, so I'm like Larry David, because he makes me laugh so hard and it would be the funniest plane ride ever. And he used to be a cab driver. Like, how cool would it be to hear from him being a cab driver to writing for Seinfeld? Like, I don't know. So I wouldn't say he's inspired my life by any means, but I think it would be an interesting conversation.
You know what? Humor is such a way of life. My dad looks like Larry David. He looks like Larry David. People used to always tell him that and want to stop him and like get his autograph. Like, I'll send you a picture. Like frequently, actually, at his celebration of life, we did like a Larry David versus Jerry Sims like slideshow because it's in the
That's
scout.
awesome.
Like, yeah, totally. That was like so funny. I'm like, oh really? But great. And you'd probably also learn how not to treat people. You're like, oh, I should probably not be like that ever again. Thank you for making me laugh, and you're still a jerk, right? Just kidding.
All right.
Okay, so the last question. This is my little kind of magic question at the end before we wrap up tonight. If you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Not to beat yourself up. Like, we don't need to be the person in our head that we're saying you're not worthy, you're not enough, you can never. Don't tell yourself that, because that's not true. Like, you're only the words that you put in your own head, and you can't tell yourself those things if that's not what you want to be. So yeah, that's absolutely 100%. I'd go back and tell myself.
Oh, that's so good. So what is it that you tell yourself every day then?
That I'm successful, and that, okay, so I just came up, I haven't shared this with anybody outside of my my business coach, because she's been having me work on my purpose statement. Okay. So I want to inspire people to rise above through my humor, my tenacity, my kindness, and I want to show people how they can rise from the ashes and rise above. So that's that. So
that's awesome. Look how different that is. Like, I'm not, or like, you know, where you're saying I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not all those things, to now you're gonna go rise above the ashes. What a transformation. So I hope that everybody watching and listening tonight found something, either about a book you want to read, a podcast to not listen to, I'm just joking, but a little bit of the story, and just even the inspiration that at any point we can rewrite the story and to go out and be great and be wonderful and impact the lives that we want. So Brandy, thanks for being on here tonight. You're such a gem. I'm so proud of you. And anybody who is interested in her amazing products, feel free to reach out to her. But follow her on Instagram, follow her on LinkedIn, follow her on Facebook. I've tagged her in here, and you're a gem, and I'm grateful to have such a successful, driven person in my life.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. It's so good to see you as always.
Bye, guys. Good night.